Good evening and salutations, my G fans. So, let's get into the good stuff for a hot minute. Carly's done with this whole revenge thing for Nina, and she constantly keeps feeling like she keeps getting dragged in to these matches with her because of Drew. And Drew sits there and talks about how he can't let his anger go because of Pentonville and all the stuff that he had to sit there and deal with. And every time he sits there and thinks about that and thinks about who caused that, he can't sit there and control his issues. And he constantly feels like Nina needs to pay. Now, I've said this more than once, and at this point I sound like a broken record. Drew, you made a choice. Well, you made two choices. One, you committed insider trading. Two, you decided to go to jail for Carly. And this is something that Carly said. Carly was like, you went to jail for me. You made a choice to go to jail for me. I'm sorry, how does Nina factor into this? I'm very confused. You chose her over time with your daughter. And now you want to sit there and take out your selfish choice, your lack of responsibility and accountability on Nina. It's just utter acidine at this point. And he is so blinded by anger that he can't sit there and see what this is doing to Carly. And Carly's like, you know what, listen. And then he said something that was just kind of out of pocket, and I can't exactly remember what he said verbatim, but he was like, I'm in this relationship too. And, I get to sit there, I get to decide on how I vent my anger or deal with the situation. And I'm like, okay, Carly never said that you couldn't decide on how, like, Carly didn't sit there and tried to police you on how to sit there and deal with it. She just assumed that you was going to act like a grown ass adult and move on. And since clearly you can't do that, she was like, you know what, listen, I'm done. So, she looked at the magazine, she was like, this is the first and the last, and she walks out. And I don't blame her. I do kind of sit there and look, and I do laugh because again, Carly talks about how she wants to sit there and let go of the vendetta and everything like that, and she's like, we're at a good place. Why can't it not be enough? But you took the job knowing that it was going to spite Nina. So part of me, when she says this stuff, is like, you're leaving that part out. Yes, you are justifying your anger towards Drew because he can't let it go and he keeps dragging you in this. Well, let's not sit there and try to play innocent like you didn't know what that was going to do to her. So Selena takes Sonny to the guard and they question him. And then they pick out some good torturing tools. And you know what I sat there and said between when I saw the tools and stuff like that, and then I saw, the karaoke thing, I was like, okay, cool. So I guess we're all gonna get tortured. Because the guard's gonna get tortured. I'm going to get tortured by sitting there listening to the singing. So, in some ways, we're all getting tortured. But just here's the thing, he didn't actually even start slicing and dicing and doing any of that stuff. He was like, usually I have people that do this sort of stuff for me. But since this is personal, I figure I'd get my hands dirty pretty much. And just the thought that he was going to do something was enough to make this guy squeal like a pig. And he pretty much says he didn't know the boss, he just knew the go between. And then he mentions the name Stone. He takes me outside, he talks about his connection to Stone and more importantly, Jagger. Or John. Because his son, his name's Stone. And so now they're sitting there probably thinking that John has something to do with trying to pick off these mob people. And granted, in theory, it makes sense. John's never liked Sonny. The minute that Stone died, was like, oh, cool, all right, I guess it's just gonna be carte blanche at this point. And between the fact that when he walks in Anna's investigation, well, he walks into the room with Anna and Dante, he's ready to shut that down with the quickness. Very, 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 very ready to sit there and rush it down. So I get where the writers are trying to point us towards John having some sort of vendetta, maybe even be possibly connected to these shootings. And they did bring him back for a reason, something big. They didn't just decide to bring the character Jagger back, not even bother to make him look like the original character. So it must be some sort of reason, and maybe this might be the payoff, maybe not, but I guess we'll wait and see. So yes, while Cyrus is talking to O'Neill to try to get him to confess, John walks in there and he's pissed off because he's like, yo, you didn't even keep me in the loop. You couldn't even sit there and provide me with that professional courtesy. What are you doing? He's like, I'm ready to sit there and shut this whole thing down. Anna starts mouthing off. She's like, this is my investigation, it's my jurisdiction, and yada, yada, yada. And I'm like, Anna, that sounds all good in theory, but you have to sit there and remember something. Okay, there's the local cops, then there's the FBI. And I'm pretty sure the last time I checked, if it comes down to power taking over a situation, it's going to be the FBI. So while she's sitting there trying to put on her big girl pants and yelling and doing all this, that, and the third, I'm pretty sure at the end of the day, he has the power to sit there and shut that ish down and take over command of the operation. So that's why I found it really funny when she was getting all mad and doing this whole huffing and puffing and everything like that. I'm like, bro, you do realize that he does actually have more power than you, right? Or are you just going to just totally ignore that? Now she does sit there and say that if you shut this down, I will go to your superiors and tell them that you're unfit for this operation. And that annoys him. And of course, John talks about, Anna and Dante's bias to protect Sonny. So they're going back and forth about that. And I'm very curious if he's actually going to shut it down or is he going to allow it to keep going on? Because it seems like Cyrus is, getting this guy to open up and confess his sins and stuff like that. The guy talks about his safety and, he's pretty much kind of looking over his shoulders. And so it seems like Cyrus is getting him to open up and give us some information. So I'm just wondering if John's going to shut that down before they get the information that they need. Now, I'm just guessing this, but I'm pretty sure he's going to probably shut that down. And of course, it's going to make him look even more suspicious in the eyes of the fans. So I guess we'll sit there and see where that goes. And of course, this is where we get to the other part. Karaoke that I just decided to not participate in by muting it because, they were not going to sit there and torture me with that. But of course, the whole goal, when they all meet together, is Sasha and Cody are trying to get Spinelli and Maxie to be together. So Cody and Sasha sing first. I guess you can sit there and tell me how that went because, I was not going to sit there and be doing that to myself. And then next was Spinelli. So he sung his song, and then him and Maxie are talking, and then they kiss, and Maxie just rushes on out of there. So, and while Cody's sitting there talking to Spinelli, and Spinelli's getting defensive, and he's like, why are you trying to help me out? I need you to butt out, just mind your business. Cody's trying to do it to make up for, coming to town to blackmail him. And somewhere along the lines, I'm just like, bro, listen, I get it. He came at you in a scumbag way, right? But what you was doing was careless, and it was kind of illegal. I'm imagining it was illegal, why you didn't want him to say anything. So, in a lot of ways, you kind of did that to yourself. And he's made up for that. So at some point, you got to sit there and let that go. He keeps bringing that up. I don't understand this overwhelming dislike for him. You know, I'm like, yeah, he screwed. I mean, well, he blackmailed you, but he's been making up for it ever since. So it seems kind of unnecessary at this point for him to have that much contentment towards Cody. I'm very curious to sit there and see what they're going to get the guard to do next because he seems like he's willing to sit there and try to do anything at this point to save his own life. So I'm imagining that they're going to try to get the guard to meet whoever this person is, um, to get closer to the real culprit. I'm imagining just in my string theory that this guard is either going to get killed or is going to sit there and double cross Sonny and Selena. Because there's really not any other wiggle room on how to get out of the situation from his point of view. I don't imagine this guy being alive, even if he does get the goods for Sonny and Selena. I mean, he should know that. I think the audience at this point knows that. The only thing with Dex is that Dex was actually good to Sonny, and also because of Jocelyn for some odd reason. I really do wish he would actually be a lot more colder with her and stop being so loving with her, regardless of how much venom that she spits at Sonny. Because, if you were a real mob boss, after a while, you wouldn't sit there and take that level of disrespect. You really wouldn't. Um, you would sit there and tell her to kick rocks or kiss my ass. I'm gonna sit there and do what I want. I run ish, and that would have been it. For some odd reason, we got to be nice to Jocelyn because whatever. Okay. I feel like that's about it. I can't think of anything else, but as I always tend to say, if I forget anything, you know what to do. Come to a live stream tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. We'll sit there and talk about all the shows, General Hospital, Days of Our Lives, Born the Beautiful, and Young and the Restless. And with that being said, I will see you in the next video.